Hi, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about 5 things I've noticed in my personal life that have changed because I've become a therapist. So these are like pretty small, I guess like more subtle things that I've noticed. So I hope it's interesting for you. I wasn't expecting these things to happen to me. Yes, so welcome back to my channel. This is Tech to Therapy, where I talk about my transition working in the tech industry and now becoming a therapist. I'm currently in my master's program, just finishing up my clinical hours. And recently, I actually just accepted a position as an associate marriage and family therapist at a clinic. So that's really exciting. That's like a big milestone in the like therapy journey that I'm going through. So yay! Yes, it's such a relief to know like what I'm gonna be doing after I graduate. So today I want to talk about 5 different like consequences that I've noticed from making the switch and becoming a therapist. One of them is that I have a harder time watching reality TV now. Okay, let me give you some context. Before, when I was in tech, I loved watching reality TV shows on Netflix, especially like the relationship ones. I loved Love is Blind, Ultimatum was really interesting, and I also really like Selling Sunset. So like the big hits, I love them. I binge them. I don't usually watch like dramas, but I really liked reality shows because it was a way for me to kind of like escape from the tech life I was living and just like put myself in the world, in somebody else's world where they were having like drastically different life stressors than me. So I thought that was like, yeah, I guess like a way for me to escape from my life and just kind of de-stress, think about other things for a second. But now that I'm a therapist, when I watch these shows, they stress me out because I feel like before when I saw like a character or a person on a show, I just saw them as what they were on the show, like whatever they showed. Okay, they were like 2D and now I see them as like 3D. Like when they talk about certain things or like when they're going through some kind of drama with the other cast members, I am like hypothesizing what other like backstory they have or like what other life experiences they've had to make them into who they are now and to perceive the world in a certain way. Oh my god, it's like so complicated. But I basically imagine that there's just like, more depth to each person now, which like I feel like I didn't think about that. I didn't want to think about that. I didn't have to think about that when I was in tech. But now I'm like, I can't see a person who's talking about their life struggles and not imagine what other things they're going through. It's more stressful now to just like watch this. So I know there's like a new one that came out, Selling Manhattan, which I would have binged in like less than a week, maybe like a couple days in my past life, but now I haven't even watched an episode. I don't know if I will. I don't know. Yeah, maybe this like hobby of mine is just like a thing that I'm over now. So that's one big thing, I guess, in my life. Something else is I've noticed that I get more irked when people give like general advice about processing emotions. Like the general ones that you hear that like seem fine at first, but now that I'm a therapist, I'm like, no, why are you saying that? Okay, so the examples are like someone was crying at an event and their friend is like, no, like don't cry, you're okay, like you're gonna ruin your makeup, like it's okay, like don't cry. And I'm like, oh, don't cry, no, let this person feel their feelings. It really bothers me when people say don't cry, because I'm like, if you don't cry now, you better make sure you have time later where you can like process what's going on and you don't just bottle it up because it's gonna come back louder later. So that's one thing. Or like when people say, oh, look on the bright side, I'm like, well, sometimes you don't have to look on the bright side. Sometimes you do want to look at other hard things and not like bottle it up. I think I have more of an opinion on like how to process emotions now than I did before. Okay, another like side effect, this just sounds like a prescription drug. But anyways, another consequence of me being a therapist is that I sound like a therapist when I talk to my friends now. Ha, what a surprise. Like when, I feel like before when someone was like going through something, I don't know, they'll just like, give me a backstory, like a 2-minute backstory of like, okay, this happened with my friend, and then that boyfriend did this, and then this, and then I would just be like, oh my God, yeah. And then I would like throw in some advice or like, ask them what they think. But now I feel like I really need to know the details of like every person, because I just don't assume things as much now about like how people's perspective of things. So I feel like when someone comes to me with like a thing they want to talk about that could have taken 2 minutes for context, now I need like 20 minutes because I'm like really need to know what's happening with like each person. So yeah, I sound like a therapist now. Okay, and then something else that I noticed is I put a lot more weight to like subtle body cues than I used to. I think in the past I noticed body cues, but I'd be like, oh, whatever, that probably doesn't mean anything. But now I really kind of not focus on it, I just put more weight on body cues. For example, like this morning I was watching like a Japanese variety show, like what do you call those? I guess it's reality. They call it variety shows, like entertainment shows. The host of the show just seemed, they had energy, but they really didn't have energy. And there's honestly nothing that I can point that I can say like, this is the reason why they seem low energy. I just like, there's a vibe. I think I am much more sensitive to people's vibes now. And I think that's to do with the job as a therapist, because as a therapist, there's a lot of things that aren't verbally said from the client that I am still watching. So yeah, there's a lot more things that I'm like looking for in people that I see. And then the last thing isn't as surprising, but like it seems pretty big for me, so I'm gonna talk about it, which is like I'm learning how to process the stress from my job, period. I think in tech, yeah, I kind of mentioned this in my other video, but like in tech, it's like if I was studying really hard and my brain hurt, then it was helpful to like look out the window or like watch a show or go on a walk. I don't know, like those things help me like just take a break up here. But now as a therapist, I need to take a break down here, like in my heart area. So it's like really different the way that I de-stress and kind of like re-energize myself for the next day. Also in tech, I feel like I could have been really stressed out, but I mean, I'm sure it had some effect on how I showed up as an employee. But honestly, even if I was really stressed, I could like pull out some code, make that table, do that presentation, like I could still do those things. But now if I'm not like, if I'm really stressed as a therapist, it really affects the sessions and my job. So like I think of the self-care that I have to do as a therapist as part of my job now, so I take it very seriously. Yeah. So those are 5 different things that I noticed. These are obviously very personal things that have changed in me. I don't expect that every new therapist has like all of these changes that they've seen in them. These are just like my things that I've noticed. I'm like, I literally would have never thought this was a thing that was gonna change, but like here we are. So I thought I would share it with you. Okay, I'll see you in another day. I'll see you another day. Bye.